And we are back.
We're back.
Episode 20. Is that right? Is this 20?
20, yeah.
Oh, my word. Episode 20.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Remember when we sat down for the first one?
Yep. That puts us at 5 months, doesn't it? Does this episode mark our 5-month episode?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's been 5 months.
It's been 5 months.
Our life has completely changed.
Yep. 5 months. So we are actually recording episode 19 2 days after we recorded episode 18, and we normally don't do that. We normally record the episode of the podcast that we're doing the week of the podcast that is supposed to be released, but we are trying to backlog enough content and get far enough ahead that we can take time off to do stuff and enjoy our life and not screw ourselves in the process. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as long as we have a 1 to 2 week buffer at all times, taking days off to not record or go do something is not a big deal. And I would like to travel. I would like to maybe go back to Tennessee for a few days or, go to the other coast and take pictures. Like I need to do something other than just record and work all the time. And I know you feel the same way as you just started doing your planting thing. So we really need to start. We just need to kill it this weekend.
Yeah.
Get the podcast room together next week, which with the chairs came in today, I was going to take pictures of it, but I'm going to wait until Mike comes and paints tomorrow and get it in there and start taking pictures for Discord as we go so they can see the progress.
Yeah. We need to post it on Instagram too.
Yes, we do. We've been slacking on the Instagram thing. But I want to make sure that we've got enough content backlog that we can leave for a week at a time and it really only affect live streams. Cause it's not going to kill the world if we miss a live stream or if we have to go live from, somewhere else. But
I would like to go in the Georgia mountains and hike.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind doing a Georgia cabin and just going to the Blue Ridge and like staying for a week in the Blue Ridge Mountains and doing all of that zip line.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
And actually do the thing. But like, I'm so focused on getting our back debt caught up on that. Like, I don't want to,
right.
It's just very hard for me to spend that kind of money. Like even doing the podcast room was a lot of deliberation. It took me almost a month before I finally pulled the trigger on that stuff. Mm-hmm. And the only reason why I pulled the trigger is because I know it's going to generate us more revenue in the future, so it makes sense to do it. But
right.
I don't have any kind of real updates, which is it's gonna be weird because we're recording this so close to episode 18. Normally, when we sit down, we have a lot of banter back and forth before we get into emails, and we have like life updates and discussions. And I don't really know what to talk about right now.
Well, we really don't have a life right now.
Yeah.
So everything is just revolving around the podcast.
Yeah.
Until we get caught up and are able to go out and have experiences again to talk about.
Well, right now we have episode 18 of the podcast. 19. This is 20 or 19.
This is 20. We just did 19 on Monday.
I don't know why I'm still stuck on 18 in my head. So episode 19 will go live. Will go live this coming Monday. This one will go live the following Monday. But that week, so all of next week's content is done and uploaded to Drive for AJ to clip and do all of his thing. Mm-hmm. So if we do content today and tomorrow, which is Saturday, Sunday, and get enough content done that goes into the following week, the content that we'll be making will be for 3 weeks out. So we can then take a vacation if we want to, or take a couple of days to go somewhere and do something and not really affect anything.
I think 3 days is good enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to go somewhere for a week. I start missing home.
Right. Well, if we go you got to think that a day is drive time.
Yeah.
So if we go somewhere and go for a 3-day trip, it's literally a day out, one night there, and then a drive back. Like it's not an actual 3-day vacation. That would be a 5-day trip, 1 day drive, 3 days there, 1 day back, because we're driving.
Right.
We can talk about that after the podcast. It's not really here nor there. I would like to do something that is going to get us out of the house and away from all this a little bit here and there. Even if we did just get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive to the other coast and take pictures for a sunrise, that is enough for me to recharge my batteries a little bit and not focus on this. I do want to touch on what we're doing with the emails, Patreon, and a little bit of house cleaning before we do get into that. Do you have any nonsense that's not related to anything, like all the bullshit that I just spewed that has nothing to do with anything? Do you have anything like that you want to add? You want to talk about your plants?
Yeah, I can talk about my plants. I'm actually really excited about them. So I have 3 of them going right now, technically 4, because I'm bringing Al, the aloe plant, back inside to get him out of the Florida heat. I have my azalea going right now, who is definitely overwatered. Have her being doctored a little bit and getting her back to health. And then I have my string of hearts going. And I have my caladium. I think that's how you pronounce it. So the bulbs I planted today, I'm super excited to get them going. And if I don't kill these plants, I am going to become obsessed. And I guess now I'm just going to kind of ask you, maybe if we get rid of that table over there, can I have that little alcove?
What do you mean? If we got rid of the kitchen table?
Yeah.
Where would we put the kitchen table?
We don't eat there anymore. It's become a t-shirt station.
It has become a t-shirt station. Which, by the way, I found 12 extra large blah, blah, blah communication shirts in the bottom of the 2XL box. And put them back into the inventory online. So if you missed out on those shirts and that's your size, they are online, tobebetter.co, for merch. And I added Canada and UK shipping, which is expensive, and I apologize for that, but I'm not the post office. So you can write a letter to your congressman. I don't know what to tell you. It would suck to lose my packing station, but we could probably make that work where you can utilize that window space and it could get daylight over there. We just have to finagle it.
It wouldn't even have to be over there. Maybe like behind the couches. Get some shelving.
Yeah, but those curtains stay closed.
Right. I ordered lights this morning on Amazon because the ones I have sitting on my desk aren't going to get light. So I have plant lights coming in so they can get the sufficient light that they need to prosper.
Well, couldn't you just leave them on the back porch? Because there's plenty of shade back there.
I could, but I want to be near my plants. That's why I want indoor plants.
Okay. Could put them in the bathroom, right on the windowsill of the bathtub.
Yeah.
Because that's diffused light. Anyways, we'll figure that out. It's not really that big of a deal.
Okay.
If we need to utilize that window, I'd rather utilize that one because there's no curtains over it than open the curtains in the living room. Not that I even spend any time in the living room. I legit was ready to rearrange our living room to put a podcasting setup in our living room at one point.
I mean, the living room's big enough. We could section it.
We really could. And before we did that room in there and got all that ready, I considered doing that because we literally spend less than 10 hours a week in the living room. When you have the kids and you guys are watching cartoons out there, it's a little more time in the living room, but we really just need a couch for that. We could have set up that space and utilized it and sectioned it to do two things, but I like the idea of having a room that I can close the door in so that the kids don't go in there and mess with anything, and I can leave stuff set up. And so house cleaning. Moving forward, if you are a Patreon subscriber and you subscribe just to get your email read, you'll be waiting a few months. We are not going to just read patron emails when they come through. We are going to make it so that it's a 2 to 3 month wait because we don't want people to continue to sign up just to get their email read and bail, which has happened quite a bit. We are not going to just do email content on Patreon. Our Patreon content is going to be life updates. It'll be very diverse. Yeah, this is very simply what we'd put it. It'll be diverse.
Oh, excuse me.
We will be doing things that we enjoy doing as well as the stuff that we have been, side pieces, things like that. Patreon will be getting one video a week that is exclusive content, one live stream on Sundays, and any early release stuff we decide to put out. So the content will still be there. It'll still be valued. You know, the value will still be there. If you're paying the $15 a month, you'll still get access to Discord. That's not changing. I think that probably in the next week, I'm going to start the men's group because we got 11 members finally. So we have enough that we can actually start that, which I'm excited for, which means you and I will be doing a whole lot more exercising and cardio because part of that is going to be 7-day-a-week exercise for me. There won't be days off. So even on days that I'm not lifting, there will be 2-a-day cardios. We'll go to the park in the morning and do cardio and then do a quick 20-minute walk around the neighborhood at night right before it gets dark, just to continue that, or I weight train that night.
Okay.
So we will both be doing extra because if I'm doing it, you're doing it, and if not, then
I mean I'm cool with 2-a-day cardios. I have my workout schedule changed.
Yeah.
Because that hour and a half that I'm in the gym, the mornings that I take the kids to school, that's an hour and a half that I could be dedicating to working on the podcast or cleaning the house or meal prepping or whatever.
Yeah. My only concern, like for me, it's easier for me to read my audiobooks when I'm by myself. I just put my earbuds in and go do cardio. So like in that scenario, if you're cleaning the house in the morning or we're doing 2-a-days, then one of the days, if I do it by myself, I just headphone it and get my audiobook in. But I would rather you go with me than not because we both need that fitness.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of quality conversation in when we do cardio, so it's good for me. But I also know that when you do the women's group, your nighttime cardio will involve women and live calls, so it doesn't make sense for us to plan. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The men's group is on the horizon.
So we could still do the evening cardios together. I mean, the nights that I have the kids. I don't know if you're going to treadmill that or something, but the evening walks when we don't have the children 3 or 4 nights a week, I can be on my live call and you can be doing your audiobook and we can still be out there together.
Yeah, just not talking to each other. Yeah, we could be. Yeah, we'll figure that out as we get there. But it is on the horizon. Things are coming. What else was there? The T-shirts, I mentioned that already. The sideshow. Nope, that's not right. The YouTube Reacts channel, the To Be Better Reacts channel, has almost 1,000 subscribers. We're at like 950 or something, 945 right now. When that hits 1,000, we then have to do like another 2,000 hours of watch time, which will be very easy with the Discord. But once that's up, we are going to start doing reaction videos, whether it's to music or movies or stupid like one chip challenges and all of the dumb shit that we want to do just to break up the monotony of emails. Mm-hmm. And the content on our channel is going to start evolving. The podcast will always be email content. We are going to change the name of the sideshow and the content of the sideshow. It might be coming more into book breakdowns, and the side piece will always be conversations. That's just you and I talking about topics that are relevant, maybe from Discord or things that we want to have a conversation about that could benefit your lives, and then the live streams. And as we get super ahead on content too, there's opportunities for us to do more lives during the week where we don't have to record.
Okay, 2 questions, and I've been thinking about these nonstop. So I heard what you just said, but I don't have a response to it.
Okay.
My first question is, can I read books for Patreon without getting copyrighted?
What do you mean? Like just read it verbatim?
Yeah, like read it, write down whatever notes I'm talking about, go back to the book.
I honestly don't know. I think that you'll get a copyright violation from YouTube more than from Patreon. However, if you are reading a chapter and then discussing the chapter, it's not copyright. You're not doing anything wrong. You're having a discussion about the book.
Okay.
And I think that's where that comes into play, because you can read a paragraph, pause, and have a discussion, and then read the next paragraph, pause, and have a discussion. I think that at that point you are having a review.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? Like, I really think that's a gray area. The worst that's going to happen is we're going to do it and the video is going to get flagged and it'll get demonetized and they'll tell us not to do that again. Fuck around and find out.
I think that'd be a cool thing to do because people want to have that access to my voice.
Yeah.
And I could read a book on Patreon. If you want to have that content, you'd have to go there. Second one is, if we were to do movie reviews, like last night during Fight Club, I'm just going through it. Like, that movie fucks with me every time we watch it. Would we be able to insert clips that are longer than 30 seconds on Patreon to show the clip and then our discussion?
No, because it's still going on YouTube first. So I think I have to do the research. Actually, I need AJ, when you watch this, you need to do the research. I don't have time to do this. And you're a paralegal, or you were, so you know that you can do the research way faster than I can. Mm-hmm. I know that there is when you are talking about the content, like if you were talking about Fight Club and we were having a movie review about Fight Club, we could show clips from Fight Club up to like a minute or a minute and a half, but you can't just play the movie, pause, and have the discussion.
Right.
So like,
I know we would have to insert the clips.
Right.
But could it be longer than 15 or whatever 30 seconds you said it was before they flag you?
he's going to have to do that research. Okay. I don't know.
That's my question.
Yeah. I don't know. And there also comes into the part of how are we going to get the individual clips, because they may not be on YouTube. And if that's the case, we may have to screen grab it from like Amazon, pay for the movie, watch it to that clip that you want to clip it, and then screen record it to get it into OBS. I don't know. That's a whole nother process too. So
okay.
that's something we'll have to figure out off screen, because it's going to take a lot to figure that out for me.
What do you think about that book idea?
Book idea is a little easier.
Because I could do like poetry, like Edgar Allan Poe, and just go through his stories and whatnot and have conversations on the recording, post it to Patreon. I feel like that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I think I'm really focusing my hobbies on planting and reading books right now.
Well, if that's something that you guys want, leave it in the comments. This will be a premiere.
Okay.
So I will be in the chat when this goes live. Don't leave it in the chat. Leave it in the actual comments of the video, not in the live chat box, because I'm not going to remember that. And if it goes into the comment section, we can go back and look and see if there's people that actually want it. Or if you're in Discord, you can just put it in the after party chat in Discord so we know.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there's anything else that I have for house cleaning. I feel like there was other things, but go ahead. I saw you lift your finger. Go ahead.
Did you already go over the email thing?
I was just about to do that.
Okay.
Moving forward, there are going to be topics and things with emails that we are just not going to address. We sat down last night and went through our to be read folder, which had a lot of emails in it, and we are going to start cherry picking emails vigorously. I am going through, so we have our email screener that's been putting everything in that folder ready for us to read. And now I am going throughout the day and at nighttime, moving things from that to be read to the cherry picked folder and moving things into a reject folder. If you have been together with your person for less than a year and you're having problems, I'm not helping you.
I'm going to pause you because I have also been doing that.
Okay.
You just started doing that last night.
Okay.
I think you're seeing the full extent of the kind of emails we receive.
I mean, maybe. I know that when we tried to record the side show yesterday.
Right. A lot of those were randomly picked because we blew through the ones I already cherry picked.
Right. So I want to go through the entire folder. So like I will spend hours reading those emails and moving them around if that's what it takes to get through the nonsense, because those emails that we read last night really bothered me.
Okay.
So I will correct myself, we are going to be doing that. She has already been doing it. I'm going to be doing it as well. So there's double eyes on it. If you have been with your person for less than a year and you're having problems and you send us an email, how do I fix this? I'm not helping you. You're a year into your relationship, and if you're having major life problems, you're a year. Like you don't owe this person anything. And if you guys are having problems in the honeymoon phase and you're falling apart, like I don't want to get involved in that. I feel like for people who have been together for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years that are really trying to save their marriage and get out of the roommate phase and reclaim intimacy, they've done a lot of work on their own to get there. And having help at that point to help them get to that point is going to be way more beneficial than somebody who's been in a 5-month relationship with somebody that they see twice a week and they argue all the time. Like you would think that that's the honeymoon phase. Everything should be magical and like you should be super excited to see your person and there shouldn't be really having drama there. Like,
yeah,
you know, that's one of those things that you go next and you move on.
I will also not. The only term I can think of is baby.
Yeah.
If you met somebody and you married them 3 months after meeting them, and you're 2 years into a relationship and you have all of these issues, it's because you didn't know who the person was.
Right.
You made a poor decision in marrying somebody that you didn't know, and now there's all of these issues because you didn't have the patience to get to know whether or not you guys were compatible.
Right. Yep, I don't want to get into the same shit over and over and over again. And if you guys are having problems 2 years in, a year in, and you rushed your marriage and you're doing the same thing that all these other people are doing, we may address those emails every once in a while just to like let you guys know like, hey, this is how you could possibly help that, because we do know that there are people in Patreon or Discord that had an early rocky relationship that are married that have an awesome relationship now. Mm-hmm. But the problem is the emails will come through and we've been together for 7 months. He's an alcoholic. He beats me. What do? You leave.
Yeah.
Or, there's other problems that are coming through with those emails. I'm 17 years old and I just met my first relationship ever and we're 3 months in and can't get along. You're 17. This isn't your forever relationship. I got nothing for you. Like, learn to communicate. Listen to our podcast. Take what you can take from it. Get into a real relationship with somebody and don't settle. All of those emails to me when you're a year in with a relationship with somebody and all it is problem after problem, you're settling. You're just accepting that this is what your life is going to be, and that's a bullshit mindset. I don't support that.
Yep.
We are about to be a whole lot more selective on the emails. Things are about to get a whole lot tighter, and just because you send an email does not mean it's going to get read, and that includes Patreon. We've gotten some bullshit emails. And by bullshit, I mean
you're clearly lying.
Some of y'all are liars just to try to get attention.
Yeah.
Not reading those emails. If I think your email's BS, not happening. If I think that you're just trying to get your 15 minutes of fame to have your fucking story read on the internet, not doing that either.
You're a little heated.
No, I'm actually not.
Okay.
Not even a little bit. I want to affect change and I want to help people.
And that's a hindrance.
And I don't want my fucking time wasted. And if I'm going to be investing our time that we could be doing something else and enjoying our life together to sit down and try to provide solutions to real life problems, they need to be real life problems, not bullshit scenarios or early relationship problems from somebody that doesn't know how to communicate or has an addiction or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't want to get into that. Mm-hmm. You're so new in your relationship. I've got nothing for you. You either need to figure out if this is somebody that you can work through your shit with and want to move forward, but what is the likelihood of that? If you're 6 months into your relationship and you're fighting like cats and dogs, do you want to spend the next 20 to 30 years of your life doing that? Or would you rather go, okay, we are obviously not compatible. Next.
Yep.
I'm not heated, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Just not wasting my time anymore.
This has kind of nothing to do with everything that you just said, but you saying two people staying together when they're not compatible. One of them, even though they are causing issues in the relationship, will get pissed off at the fact that they no longer want to be with them. Like the person says, I'm done with this. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. We're not compatible. And the person causing the issues will be like, really? You're going to leave me and go get with some other bitch?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That mentality.
I honestly don't know how anybody could try to play the victim and guilt trip somebody in that scenario. Because if we were 6 months in, or if you're 6 months into a relationship and somebody says some shit like that and you are not willing to put yourself in a position where somebody's overstepping their boundaries, they're being controlling, they're being possessive, they're being abusive, whatever the case is, yeah, I'm going to go find somebody that recognizes my worth, and I'm going to go and enjoy my life. Hopefully, you can find somebody that you're compatible with and you do some work on yourself and you have a great life. You remember that we used to be able to sit down for hours and just bullshit on these things and just talk about nonsense for 45 minutes to an hour and have to force that conversation to stop to get into emails. And now we're like, well, that's everything. That's our life. Moving on. Like we don't have
anything going on right now.
Right. That's the downside of the amount of content we're putting out, I guess. I did reach out to John Hogan about those peppers. Did I tell you that? To find out if he had any Carolina Reapers available so that we could do that pepper challenge. And he said that the hurricane destroyed his greenhouse. And he lost all of his world like record holding peppers that he had. And he was like, we have these apple chips covered in dried pepper dust that you can try. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. Like I'm
dried pepper dust.
I'm good. He was
but
like,
it would clear my sinuses.
Yeah, it would. He was like, this is 4 times hotter than the Carolina Reapers that I had when the girls ate the peppers. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want that. I'm not trying to die. He's like, no one's ever died from a pepper. I'm like, I don't want to die, bro. You know what I mean? Quit trying to be cute. Like I want funny hot, not I'm having an ulcer and like I want to cry and vomit everywhere hot.
Yeah.
So
this is professional therapy versus self-help.
Okay.
First of all, you two are amazing. My cousin, BFF, sent me one of your TikTok videos. I just binged listened to 3 of your podcasts tonight back to back because I share a lot of the same views.
Only 3?
Only, right?
Yeah, you better step your game up. Those are rookie numbers. You better get them numbers up.
We got people doing 7 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's wild. So
isn't that crazy?
Technically, that's 3 episodes.
Is that? Oh my God.
Yeah. Because most of our episodes are 2 to 3 hours long. We've been doing some shorter episodes lately because we've been just trying to squeeze recording in when we can get it kind of thing. But
right.
On a serious note, you can tell your cousin we said thank you. Because for those of you who are not supporting us on Patreon or YouTube, the best way to support what we're doing is to share the content.
Yes.
If you share that,
spread it.
Yeah, you shred it. Blah, 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 blah. If you share it with 10 people and 10 of those people or 2 of those 10 people subscribe to the YouTube channel, you've now helped us gain 2 more subscribers. And in the event that one of them joins Discord or Patreon, you've now given us a lot by just simply sharing. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us grow the channel, and that doesn't cost you shit. So if you find value in what we're doing, share it. Gonna send it, bruh.
What is that? I want to say biodome, but that's
Nope.
not biodome.
It was there's a dude with a mullet and wears like the Viper sunglasses that jumps. What are the snow machines that are like jet skis for the snow?
A snowmobile?
That. I don't know why I couldn't think of that just
jumps
now.
them?
Yeah, it does like crazy shit on them and like he
yeah.
eats shit a lot. But he's always like, I'm gonna send it.
I don't know, I just woke up from a little nap. It's a little dark, but you guys silly? I'm still gonna send it.
I'm just gonna send it.
I love it when people have a phrase before they do something stupid.
Yeah.
Because same.
Yeah. Well, normally it's, hey guys, hold my beer. And then it, it ends in injury.
I'm going to start saying that before I do something that could cause myself harm. I now follow you on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. I will definitely be listening in on all episodes. So my husband and I have been together for over 16 years and married and living together for over 14 years. We have had plenty of good and bad times together. He is a good person. He is responsible and hardworking. He is a leader and an absolutely great father.
Love all of that.
I share this because even though he is all of those things, he is emotionally scarred from a verbally and emotionally abusive childhood.
Same.
Samesies. It's almost like we should start a club.
I mean, like, who isn't though?
Right.
I mean, realistically, in this day and age, everyone's fucked up from their childhood. Yeah. In some way or another.
I think all of history, everybody has been fucked up from their childhood.
Yeah.
There were people during medieval times taking their 5-year-old to go see a hanging.
But hey, at least they got to throw fruit.
Little exercise. My husband was never officially accepted by his biological father, so he had no father growing up. In my husband's childhood home, shared with his mom and her relatives, there has always been verbal and emotional abuse. Sometimes to the point of physical fights between various members of his family.
Also, same.
My husband was witness to a lot of these fights and arguments. As a child, my husband learned to suppress and hide his emotions, possibly out of fear.
And same.
Yeah, if I saw my cousin Billy get his ass beat for saying that he was upset about something, I'm not going to say I'm upset.
Nope.
Nope, everything is peachy over here. You know, you hear it a lot from parents who have adult children now of, I don't know why they won't talk to me. I don't know why they won't open up to me. I don't know why they're not including me in their life.
No, you just don't want to admit it.
It's because in childhood, you made them feel like you didn't care about their life. They were a burden to you. You were constantly angry with them. If they came to you with an emotion that was negative, you would get frustrated or angry with them because they weren't happy.
Right.
It was another thing for you to deal with on top of being a provider or a mom or a dad or whatever the hell is going on in your life. My husband grew up in a different country. As a boy or man in our culture, showing any type of emotion is viewed as weak and inferior. In our culture, getting professional help like therapy is taboo and something most people don't talk about. I wonder what their culture is.
Yeah, I don't know. But that was also men 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Therapy is seen like only the people who are mentally challenged need professional help. Our culture sees crying as something only the female population does. Many boys are taught to hide any and all expressions of emotions.
unpopular opinion, I'm okay with all of that. You want to know why I'm okay with all that? Because we're supposed to protect. And in the event that we need to protect and we need to throw down and like defend life or hurt someone, the last thing that we need is to have an emotional breakdown and start crying and need a safe space and not be able to protect our families. There's a psychological thing that comes along with that, knowing that I can turn my emotions off and drop anyone and deal with that shit later could save someone's life.
So the issue comes in when they don't deal with it later.
Right. I agree.
That's the problem.
Right.
So I agree. Men should be able to just turn that off and deal with whatever needs to be dealt with.
Right.
Instead of just breaking down and crying. That deal with it later is the problem of that whole equation because those emotions are never figured out after the fact. It's just, that happened. That's my life. Nobody gives a fuck. I'm going to push it down.
Right. We actually talked about this in another episode, and I cut the entire thing out of it because it was just a whole lot of back and forth that was unnecessary. Mm-hmm. But I think that men should be able to suppress their shit. I think that it's good that we're able to control our emotions like that, and we are not vulnerable, snotty, crying pussies.
I disagree that it's controlling emotion in the way that she's talking about.
Yeah.
That's not controlling your emotions. That's completely ignoring them, and then you have a massive blow up, and you don't understand why you get angry all the time. Being able to sort your emotions and understand what you're feeling, I think is the key into making that whole scenario healthy. Like everything that you just said, being able to identify what's going on after the fact of doing something, whatever had to be taken care of.
Right.
Will eliminate the frustrations that happen in a lot of relationships because men don't talk about what's going on.
Right. I'm not saying that you shouldn't know how to deal with your emotions.
Right. I just want to clarify that because there's going to be people in the comments.
They can be in the comments.
Okay.
Fuck them. I believe in what I believe in.
Yeah.
And I know that there's going to be people that are going to be counteractive to the things that I say and disagree and say that it's not healthy and men can be vulnerable and all of that shit. And if that's their response to what I just said, they're not listening to what I said. Because that's not what I'm getting at. I'm not saying men should not be able to process their emotions. I'm saying that in the event that there is a life-threatening scenario where men have to do foul shit, if they are super in touch with their emotions and they start crying and fall the fuck apart, they're not able to do their duty as men.
Right.
And you need to be able to turn that shit off and be that motherfucker when you need to and then deal with it later. Therapy, whatever it is that you need to deal with, but you should deal with it later. I do believe that men need to have that capability.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I am big on self-help. I have read many self-help books. I have listened to many videos and podcast episodes that help me on my own journey to healing. I 100% fully believe that we can all be better people by taking responsibility and accountability for ourselves.
Yep.
So I can see where my husband could benefit from some sort of healing journey. I am the type of wife that likes to gently push my husband in what I believe is in a good direction. My question is, do you believe professional help is better than self-help healing?
Go ahead.
Okay, so
We both deep breathed that one.
that is based on your perspective, your abilities, I did the self-help thing, and I have gotten further on my own doing self-help than I ever did in therapy. Therapy is not a one-size-fits-all. I went through a lot of therapists, a lot of medications. There was a therapist I saw for maybe 2 weeks, and I was like, no, this isn't going to work. You're not the right personality type. I don't feel like you're understanding what I'm saying. It is a process to find a therapist. Personally, I would suggest therapy for like a first step so you can get a grasp of what's happening. Once you get an understanding of accountability and you don't beat yourself down and never do anything about it, and you're able to accept that accountability and recognize you need to grow, that's when the self-help is more effective. I don't like therapy.
I don't either. I believe there's a place for it.
Yeah.
And I believe that there are people out there that is greatly helped by therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that you know your life.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting down and trying to explain someone your entire fucking life for them to figure out what's going on with you, just for them to tell you how to process it, you can YouTube and you can figure your shit out. You know, when people message us and be like, I've gotten more from 2 episodes of your podcast than 6 months of therapy.
Yep.
I've gotten more from your podcast than I've gotten in 10 years of therapy, because we've gotten that one too.
We have.
I'm big on self-help. You know your life. You know the things that you're hung up on. You may need to find ways to process that shit, and you can find that on YouTube, and maybe that's where you need to find a therapist to help you work through that shit. But in reality, you can find somebody that you trust to talk about your life and just let it out, and maybe they can help you figure out where to start.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that is the hardest part, is figuring out where to start your shit. I believe that the self-help process is the only way to get through it. Therapy is a tool. We are a tool.
Yeah.
We're not doing shit. We are giving you guys ideas, thoughts, and opinions. You are taking that, processing it the way you process things,
And applying it.
Right, and deciding if it's something you can apply to your life. You're making a decision to do better based off the things that we've told you. We're not doing that shit for you. So even if we were your therapist, we're not doing the work. You are. So self-help, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely the way to go.
Yeah.
I also think that there are things that you can get from groups that you're not going to get from a therapist. I get more value from our men's group on Discord, the private men's group that I'm a part of, than I've ever gotten from a therapist.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten in there and like just word vomited my shit. And I've had 5 or 6 other men who are like, bro, I feel that. Like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? That reminds me of this quote. That reminds me of this book. Check out this TikTok video I saw today that reminds me of exactly of that. Like, because we're all alike. All of us in that group are there to be better. And as that men's group comes into fruition and I'm leading this group, I'm not doing shit other than providing topics and ideas to like grow these people. But everyone in that group is already a leader of men. There are people in that group that know things about things that I don't even understand when they're talking. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like, you're going to get a lot more from a group of like-minded, hardworking people than you will from a therapist.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with that, definitely.
and it's probably not worded it the right way, but you obviously know what I meant. So
I choose self-help over therapy. When I'm speaking with a therapist, I have to sugarcoat things. Because if I say what I'm actually thinking, I'm getting Baker acted.
yeah. What does that say though? Because you're supposed to be going to them to get help.
Right.
And if you can't be honest with them because you're a fear of being committed or being forced to take drugs,
Right.
like that's a problem.
It is.
You're not going to ever be open and forthcoming like you will be with your friends.
Yeah.
If you've got somebody, and again, I'm just going to use Discord as an example. I've never actually done this to those guys, but if I got up one morning and I was suicidal and I was like, guys, I think today's the day. We're going to go ahead and just put that final date on my tombstone this afternoon. I worded it that way because I don't want to get flagged on YouTube. I guarantee you that I would have at least one person text message me within 15 minutes of me making that post. I'd have 4 or 5 guys in there trying to talk me off the ledge. And it would be from a place of love, and I want you here, not from a place of, well, you just stay here for a minute. I got to go to the bathroom. 911, yeah, I have a patient talking about Control-Alt-deleting themselves. I need you to come get them. We're going to go ahead and admit them for a 72-hour stay. No, man, fuck that. Got too much going on in my life. I can't miss 72 hours.
So I am more comfortable with my self-help because I know the darkest parts of me. Mm-hmm. I know the foul things that my depression can ooze into my brain.
Right.
And I am more comfortable facing that on my own and trying to figure out why I'm feeling that way versus in trying to speak to another human being and have them judge me for how I'm feeling.
Right.
There are a lot of therapists and psychologists on YouTube who are just putting out videos, like lengthy 1 to 3 hour videos about mental health, coping mechanism, things that you can do, identifications for any mental illnesses you may think you have, which is not a diagnosis. Nope. It is, have you considered this? If you're experiencing these 10 things, it could be this. And if that's the case, then you should go and speak with a therapist and say, I don't know what's going on. I've heard this. Can you kind of help me figure out where I need to go?
Right. I think in those situations, that's where therapists come into play.
Right.
When you need a diagnosis and you need a clinical, like, this is what I think is happening, can you validate that? Mm-hmm. Then you have a definitive, this is, but you know what? The problem with that is if you go to one therapist, they're going to say, yes, that's the case, and the next one may not.
Right.
So you're getting an opinion. It's practicing medicine.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to add?
No.
Because there's one more question.
We'll ask a question.
And if so, would it be wrong for me to initiate that professional help if my husband doesn't take the first step?
Yes, it would be wrong.
I would feel...
betrayed. I would feel betrayed.
Betrayed, violated.
Yep.
Like you don't trust me. Like you don't understand what I'm going through. Yeah. A lot of mixed emotions in that.
In that scenario, if you do that, knowing that he's against it, you are going to be betraying him. If he tells you, no, I'm not okay with this, and you try to force that to happen, you are creating a distance between you and your person.
Correct.
If you think that he could benefit from therapy or from our podcast or from anything that's going to start to engage or affect change in him and his psyche, you need to present it to him from a we standpoint.
Right.
I would like to do this with you. I think that it could benefit you, and if nothing else, it could benefit us. Make it about us, not about you. Because when it's about us, if he's in love with you and he wants to do better and wants to be better for you, making it about you or us is going to be a whole lot different than making it about him.
Definitely.
I would not go to therapy. I wouldn't, personally. If you were like, we need to go to therapy, like, no, we really don't. Like, we need to sit down and have a conversation and figure our shit out. Mm-hmm. But if you were like, I'm super fucking depressed and I don't know what I'm going through and I need to go to a therapist and I would like you to accompany me, it's a very different conversation.
Right.
I would go. And I got to be honest, I'd probably get roped into conversations at that point, especially if we had a good therapist. Mm-hmm. Somebody that I can relate to, that genuinely gives a shit and is not just trying to push drugs or get you to come back for another session to make some money. You know what I mean? Like, the right person matters.
It does. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
This one is titled, How Can I Better Communicate?
By using your words.
Generally, yes.
Yes. Next.
For some context, my husband and I are high school sweethearts and have been married since the age of 18. We are now 32.
Okay.
One major issue in our marriage, and probably one of the only, is our communication.
Well, that's a big one.
That is a big one.
That's a fucking big one.
That's a massive crack in the foundation.
Yeah.
I think we should compile a list of issues that can come in a relationship, like really big ones that you guys need to fix or things are really going to fall apart, down to, you're really bickering about this every week?
We could do that as a side piece. But
That'd be a really good side piece.
But we would have to disclaimer that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because that is purely opinion based.
It is.
Yeah. But I mean, if you want to make that list, I'll help you add to it.
That would be so much fun. I would enjoy doing that. And I think that would give people a direction too of, okay, they're right. Like, my husband and I, our communication is really good. Am I really going to be upset about socks on the floor in front of the hamper?
Yeah. Perception is reality, and your attitude towards things will dictate your outcome.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I have noticed that we communicate better when we are chatting via text versus in person because we don't get as heated. And we both have time to process and think about what we are going to say next.
So what you're saying is neither one of you think before you speak.
Yes. I have tried so many times to have in-person conversations with him, and I am not one to get easily angry or aggressive. It is truly hard for me to approach each It is truly not hard for me to approach each conversation in a calm manner. I make it a point to use I statements as much as I possibly can so that I can convey how I am feeling personally by his actions or whatever else we might be discussing.
That's good.
I really do try so hard to get that part right, but I'm still almost always getting a defensive response.
Because saying I is not enough.
Right. I really wish I could be a fly on the wall during people's conversations. Because somebody thinking that they are approaching somebody in a non-aggressive manner doesn't mean you are.
Right. How does communication work? In that scenario, if you're using I statements.
Mm-hmm. So an example would be, so the other night I noticed, I'm just going to use the chicken on the counter for reference.
Okay.
This isn't how I felt, but this is the only thing freshest in my mind. So if that really bothered me and like made me feel like however I felt, I would approach you and say, hey, I noticed that you left food sitting on the counter last night and I woke up this morning and I saw it there. I'm kind of starting to feel like I'm being a maid. If you're done eating, can you either put it in the fridge or can you toss it so it's not sitting on the counter for me to take care of in the morning?
Okay.
Is that bad?
No. Throwing the I'm feeling like a maid in there, I think you're giving more details than necessary. But that scenario would work. You would get a very positive outcome from that because you weren't being shitty.
Right.
Here's an I statement for you. Same scenario. You wake up, see that I left the food out that I was eating until fucking midnight and just forgot to throw away. And you said, I'm so fucking sick of chicken being left on the counter. That I statement doesn't fucking mean anything because you're being an asshole.
Right.
So your I statements matter. Your tone, your inflection, your body language all matter when you're having a conversation. What you say is not as important as how you say it.
Right.
So
I want to go back to the one I just said about I'm feeling like a maid. If that person hits you with, I'm not treating you like a maid, I would then say that's not what I said.
right.
I said, you left a chicken on the counter. I woke up to it this morning still sitting there and I had to throw it away. It's making me feel like I am a maid. I don't want to feel this way. I'm your wife. In that moment of defensiveness, you can still, that's not what's happening. Let me clarify for you because I don't want you getting frustrated at this. I'm not mad. I just don't want to feel this way.
Right. In that scenario, that I get hung up on that maid thing because that would make me get defensive. I'd be like, damn, you really feel that way? Like, you're my wife. You're not the maid. I just left the chicken out. It's not that big of a deal. Like, those conversations could actually become something. I understand that you weren't trying to be shitty. I understand your point in all of that. I also know that I already felt bad when you pointed it out. And you didn't use it. You didn't say that. You were like, hey, I noticed that this has happened a couple of times. Before you go to bed, can you please throw the chicken away? Or can you not do this? And I was like, I got you. Sorry. I actually felt bad. And I also know that I was eating cold chicken from 6 o'clock till midnight because I was running through the house doing shit and still trying to be active with the kids. And like, I was just doing a lot that night. And I ate until I went to bed, but it was like 2 or 3 bites every time I walked through the kitchen. I didn't even sit down to eat that night. But I could have thrown that fucking chicken away. When I was like, okay, I'm done with this, instead of just setting my fork on it and walking away from it, it would have taken me half of a minute to take the tinfoil off the fryer sheet because it was in an air fryer and walk it to the garbage can, which is less than 6 steps from where it was sitting.
Yeah.
So I felt like an asshole. And it doesn't take much to make me feel like I fucked up because I know better. So you don't have to talk to me like that. But had you been like, I am not your maid, I am your wife, I'd be like, whoa, babe, I'm sorry. Like, why are you coming at me like that? Or I'd have gotten really fucking defensive and be like, I don't appreciate that. And like, it would have been, I'm glad that we don't talk to each other like that. I don't think it's necessary. We've learned through our communication that the more direct you are with me and the less information you give me, the better. I don't need all the details. I need the end result. What do you want from me? You want a new car? Dope. When we're ready to buy a car, I'll ask you the details. What do you want from me? Stop leaving your shit on the kitchen counter. Don't leave the soda cans by the sink anymore. Got it. Now when I see a can anywhere, I pick that bitch up, rinse it out, and put it in the thing because I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
I do very well with very little detail. I just need the end result. Let me please you. I will. I promise. I just need a kick in the ass every once in a while in a polite manner.
That should be a conversation for a lot of couples.
Yeah?
So if that's a constant thing where you're trying to express your feelings to someone because something they are doing is bothering you, you might be overloading them with information. And they're already feeling shitty for disappointing you. Adding on top of that, they're going to start getting defensive. Like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. And you just keep hounding on me.
You do that.
I do that?
You do that. You know how many times you'd be like, I feel like you're lecturing me right now? That was a huge part of our communication in the beginning.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It happened in the car. It's happened in the living room. And it's happened once recently in the kitchen. I remember those conversations. And it's not because I'm lecturing you. It's because I'm either trying to help.
Right.
Which the first one was me trying to help.
Yeah.
It was not a lecture. Like when you said that, I was like, what the fuck? Like I'm trying to help you.
Holy shit.
But
You're right, though.
Right.
I was being overloaded with information.
It took us a while to learn our communication standards. And both of us work really well with little detail.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Right. I want to have conversations with you.
Right.
But I want the conversations to be the ones that don't make me feel bad and don't feel like work.
Yeah.
If they're work related, that's fine. But I would much rather talk to you about stupid shit and crack jokes and dance and like
have fun.
Just be dumb as a motherfucker together. And those conversations mean a whole lot more to me than you need something done. How do I get it done? Babe, dishwasher's not working. That's all I need. Mm. And if I need to know why it's not working, I'll ask you. Otherwise, I'm going to go look and figure out what the fuck is wrong with it.
Yeah, the other day in the bathroom when the vent, we turned on the vent because I was doing something with my hair.
You were trying to kill yourself in the bathroom is what you were doing.
I was vibing.
You had the bedroom door closed and the bathroom door closed. And I walked in.
Because I know the smell bothers you.
Oh my God. I don't know how you were even breathing that. I
don't think I was breathing at that point.
I know that I have a sensitive nose. Right. I don't deny that. I can smell shit that most people can't. I hate it. I don't do well with smells, but I could smell the chemical coming out of the bedroom with the bedroom door shut. And I opened the bedroom door. I'm like, oh, it's chemically in here. And I walked in the bathroom. I was like, what are you trying to kill yourself? What are you doing? I couldn't breathe. I had to breathe through my mouth.
Yeah.
So I turned the fans on in the bathroom and the fart fan in the bathroom, like in the actual toilet area. Go ahead. Let me tell the rest of the story.
And it smelled like an electrical fire. And I'm walking around and sniffing. I'm like, is it my hair? Is it me? Is it my hair dye? And I started like sniffing around the bathroom and I ended up in the little toilet area and I was like, okay, it's something in here. And I went and grabbed you. I'm like, it smells like smoke in the bathroom.
Yep.
And that was it. And you came in there and you're like, what is it? And I was like, I don't know. I'm standing here and it smells like something is on fire. There wasn't, babe, the bathroom smells like it's on fire and I'm panicking. I need you to come and look and see what's happening.
Right. It was very, simple instructions. And we figured out the fart fan motor blew.
Yeah. So,
tis what it is.
If that is a constant thing for you guys where it starts off as a conversation of how you're feeling and it turns into a massive argument, ask your partner, when I come to you and try to explain how I feel, do you feel overwhelmed by me? And if the answer is yes, you guys need to figure out a communication style to where, okay, do I just need to tell you how I'm feeling and that's it? Do you need me to change the way that I'm saying things? Do you feel like I'm blaming you? Because I'm not blaming you. If I'm having a bad day and I'm not saying my day is rough, I just need a vent, I can start doing that so you don't feel like I'm attacking you.
Right. I also think that it's important to remember that women and men do not communicate the same way.
Right.
Most of the time. There are some very feminine men out there that will communicate like a woman, but for the most part, we don't do that. Mm-hmm. Men want the bare minimum information so that we can get the job done. We don't need to know the feelings that are involved in it, the time zones and what moon cycle it was, and we don't need all that. You just tell us what you need and let us take care of it. Mm-hmm. Simple.
Before we continue onwards, I just realized something that we did not do during house cleaning.
What's that?
And that is why we don't read through an email completely before we stop and make our points of conversation.
I forgot about that because we did get an email about that last night saying that they wished that we would read from beginning to end and then go back and read it again to make our points so that they could have a cohesive email. Mm-hmm. I forgot all about that.
So do you want to talk about that?
No, you can talk about it. You're the one that remembered. Have at it.
So
Have at it, you beautiful bitch with your side mouth speaking ass.
Thank you. So we have tried that.
We have.
In the earlier episodes, that is a suggestion I made of let's just read through the email, then go back and hit points. We recognize that our little side rails of hypotheticals and if this happened, this is what we would do, were eliminated because it was solved 4 or 5 sentences later in the email. So the conversations that we have that really help people weren't happening anymore.
Right.
So that's why we don't do that, and that's why we will never do that.
Right. I almost was like, let's try it this morning because of that email. And you were like, we did that on episode 3 or 2. And you were like, I don't like this. Let's not do this anymore. And I was like, I don't remember that. We're going to have to listen to it to see. And then it dawned on me while I was editing why we do that, because we do go on tangents, and those tangents are very viable to people's lives. That's not part of the email.
Right.
We could mention a what if scenario that has nothing to do with the email that is brought up because of what is said. And that helps people. So can't appease everyone.
What I am going to start doing, though, is going back and reading the sentence I just read and then continuing on to jog memories.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Big brain shit.
It is truly not hard for me to approach each conversation in a calm manner. I make it a point to use I statements as much as possible so I can convey how I am personally being affected by his actions or whatever else we might be discussing. I really do try so hard to get that part right, but I still almost always get a defensive response. To the point where I constantly go over and over in my head, how could I possibly say that in a better way? I recently poured my heart out to my husband in person. This was one of the few times where I wasn't necessarily calm, but I also wasn't irate. I was in tears after a hard day at work, and here's how it went. Me. I feel like I can only give 20% of myself to each aspect of my life. To you, our kids, my full-time job. This world was not created for full-time working women with children, and society is expecting way too much from us.
Pause. Y'all did that to yourselves.
If you couldn't handle having a full-time job and being a mother, you shouldn't have had kids.
Right. The reality of that, though, is that you guys had it where it was normal for you to be at home raising kids and doing all that shit. And you guys decided that you didn't want to do that. So you guys went and fucking made it a point to make it normal for women to be in the workplace because some of you wanted to work and you wanted the rights to do that shit, and you got it. And now that the government has all these extra taxpayers, it's real fucking hard for the woman to go back to the house.
Yep.
But that was very much a thing. You know that the first time that women had a bill come up for the right to vote, the feminists were like, we want the right to vote. And the government was like, cool, then you're going to get drafted into wars. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want it anymore because they didn't want to be sent to war. And then when they got the right to vote without being drafted, which, you know, that was a whole nother process. But I don't know. I like the fact that women have the ability to do whatever the fuck they want. I support that, but I don't think that it should be. I don't think that we should have just never taken the dollar off the gold standard. That's all there is to that. The rest of that conversation is completely irrelevant. If the dollar was still backed by gold, every woman in America could go back to just being a fucking housewife if that's what they wanted to do, because our money would have value.
Right.
Instead of being printed to oblivion and be fucking toilet paper.
I am not trying to negate her feelings or validate her feelings. All of that is hard to mentally deal with. Being stretched so thin and not being able to take a deep breath, it's rough.
I get it. I'm not taking away from that struggle.
Right.
I think that mothers belong in a house.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
As a mom, I am a much better mom being a stay-at-home mom than I was a working mom.
Yeah. You got a whole lot more time with your kids. You got a
Yeah.
better relationship with them.
I'm less frustrated. I'm less irritable.
Yep.
I am not worried about multiple aspects of our life anymore.
You're not dependent on other people to raise your children.
Right. So I'm going to go back to what I said previously. If you are a working woman and you do not want to give up your career, or you're not in a position with your man to where he can provide for you to stay at home, you really, really need to think about having children.
Yep.
Because working and maintaining a household and taking care of kids, and if your husband doesn't help you, you're going to start getting resentful. All of that's going to add up and you're going to hate your whole life.
Big facts.
Really just put thoughts into things before you make them happen. I can't keep up and I feel like a complete failure. So you're not a failure because you're working a full-time job and you're maintaining your household and you're taking care of your kids and you're trying to improve your relationship with your husband. These are all steps that you are taking to be better. That doesn't make you a failure. You're a failure if you give up and say, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. I'm walking out on the kids. I'm quitting my job and I'm going to California. Fuck you guys. There are not enough hours in the day to do all of my wifely or motherly duties on top of working a full-time outside of the home job. I'm starting to harbor negative feeling towards stay-at-home moms, even though logically, I know that I shouldn't because they have done absolutely nothing wrong and found a way to make their lives work.
The word you're looking for is resentment. You're having resentment because you're envious of the ability that they have to do that and you don't have it. The real question is where's dad?
Her husband?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is he in the picture? Is the husband there?
Yeah.
Like, so then where's dad? You are supposed to be raising your children. The two of you raising the kids. Dad provides things for that child that you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
You provide things to the child that he cannot. The two of you working in unison is going to raise a functioning, good person.
Right.
If you're left to do all the fucking work and your children grow up to see that that's the way it's going to be, how do you think their lives are going to be when they get older?
Mm-hmm.
Where's dad? That's what I want to know.
Right.
Kids aren't mine.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are grown. I'm present. I'm present as a motherfucker. I'm helping with homework, helping with speech. Like even with everything that I've got going on here, when the kids come in and want me, like I stop what I'm doing. I give them my undivided attention. I want to be a force of good for these kids. It's not hard.
Right.
Even if he was to give you an hour of unabashed time where you can do whatever you need to do while he's helping with homework and doing bath time, that's a full work day a week, 7 hours.
Yeah.
For you to do something.
You know, even if it was every other day, say they're both feeling this way. He's working overtime on top of working 40 hours a week. If you guys gave each other an hour every other day for self-care, I bet you would start feeling a little bit different.
Yeah. Why is, this isn't really pissing people off. And I'm going to say this and hurt some feelings. Men, do you not love your kids? Right? Mm-hmm. Like you want to play video games. You want to drink a beer and watch sports because you had a long day at work. You brought them into the world.
Right.
Do you think that spending an hour with a coloring book in your hand and just talking to your kid or coloring with them while they're scribbling on paper is going to really ruin your night? You can drink that beer. It's not like you really even have to pay a whole lot of attention. You're just doing an activity with them. So if they're psychobabble mumbling, you can, yeah, I hear you. Good job. How's school? Depending on their age. Mm-hmm. And you can just color with them while they're doing their thing. Or if their hobbies are video games, you can play video games with them for an hour. That quality time with the parent fucking means something to those kids. They're not going to forget that. You are setting an example that you have to be present in your child's life. And when you grow up, when you're old and your kids are in their 20s and they're like, Dad, I really appreciate you taking me fishing every Sunday when I was a kid. That time meant the world to me. You're going to feel like, damn, I fucking did it. I'm super dad. Yeah. Dad, I remember that you would come home from work and I remember the smell on you while we colored. I like the smell of motor oil because you're a mechanic and that's all I could smell on you when we were kids and you were coloring.
And that's going to carry into their parenthood traits.
Yeah. And they're going to make sure they do the same thing because those times fucking mean something.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand why you don't want to spend that little bit of extra time with your kids.
I don't know. I'm starting to harbor negative feeling towards stay-at-home moms, even though logically I know that I shouldn't because they have done absolutely nothing wrong and found a way to make their lives work. It is purely out of jealousy and something I need to work on. I am so overwhelmed.
Yep. Resentment.
Husband responded with, you shouldn't feel that way towards stay-at-home moms. Clearly not hearing anything I said after that.
No.
Me, nothing. I was devastated by this response.
Okay, so you gave him a whole lot of information.
And no direction to go in.
And he got hung up on one aspect, which is normally the last point you're making.
Right, because that's the last thing they hear.
Right.
So my recommendation would be, you are feeling this way. The first thing you need to say is, I am feeling overwhelmed. I don't know what I need right now. Can you sit down and just listen to me vent for a minute? And then word vomit everything you want to say. And if you're looking for validation, you need to say, babe, I need an outside perspective. How am I doing in life right now? Am I being a failure as a mom? Am I am I slacking on household tasks? I feel like I'm a failure at work, but you see everything I do at home. Am I just being hard on myself right now? If you are looking for validation or reassurance, or you just need someone to hear you, you need to say that. Or else this will happen. And this ties back into the information overload. You're throwing too much at him in one time, and he can't focus on every point you just hit because men's brains do not work that way.
You want to know what I got from that?
What?
That she's overworked, underappreciated, and exhausted.
Yeah.
No self-care time. She's not there. She's feeling mother guilt, like hard, because she's not able to be there for her kids.
She's working full time.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot there that was said behind the conversation that wasn't brought to him. She wasn't direct with it. She said, I feel like I can't give more than 20% of everything to my life, right? Which means she feels like she is so overloaded with work that she's only able to perform at 20% at all times, that she's not working the capacity at anything. That's what I got at 20% conversation.
She's at low battery.
Right.
Constantly, every day.
Had she simply said, I have too much on my plate, I can't do this anymore, this is what's going on, I need help. It would have been a very different conversation than the I feel like.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving me a solution to fix the problem. You're telling me that you're resentful to stay-at-home moms. That's how that conversation went in my head. Yeah. I know because of communication what the real issue is
the underlining issue is.
Right. But most men don't have the communication skills that I have and don't understand what's really being said. Had you came to me with all of that, I'd have been like, wait a second. Here's what I got from that. And I would have relayed it back to you and you'd be like, yeah, that's right. Because we know how to communicate with each other.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with stay-at-home moms and how you feel with them. What you're really saying is that you're overloaded, overworked, and you're fucking having mom guilt. It's too much.
That is following your emotions to the root of the problem.
Right.
The underlining issue, like you said, is overworked, underappreciated, and mom guilt. That is a whole lot simpler than I feel like I can't keep up. The world's expecting too much out of me. I'm overwhelmed. I hate stay-at-home moms. Yeah. So even though you feel like that's a good communication style, it's still very blurry.
Right.
I feel like I'm talking to you through a mist and I can't figure out what I'm seeing.
Yep. You're working on it. I mean, you're doing the work. The communication aspect is there. You're definitely using I statements in that scenario. The problem is you're not conveying what's really going on. You are masking things still.
Right. Definitely.
You guys got to be fucking direct with us. We don't view the world the way that you view the world. No one else on the planet views the world the way that you view the world. You may have similarities, but your perception and my perception are very fucking different. And we've said this a lot on this podcast, and lately we've been saying a lot. That seems to be the theme for the last like 5 or 6 recordings. You and I may see things similar, but we're not going to see completely eye to eye on everything. And if everyone saw things the same way, there would be no difference in politics, no difference in religion.
There would be world peace.
There would be nobody overweight. There'd be nobody underweight. There'd be nothing. Everybody would be exactly the same. We would be a hive. That's not how the world works. We are not that. We are individual. We were all created to be unique. And that includes our perception, especially our perception. I believe that's what actually makes us unique. Yeah. Because the way that we perceive the world it dictates the way that we interact with it.
Right. You know, this is a very easy fix.
Yeah. It is.
If this is the root of your problem is you guys aren't communicating properly, you literally just have to turn the dial a little bit.
Yep.
You remember on like old radios, you would have to turn it to find the signal. You turn it too much, it's just more static. If you turn it just a little bit, crystal clear.
Yep.
You literally just have to turn your dial and find the tune and sync in with that wave, and that's it. Once you figure it out, you're golden.
Yep.
There's going to be little hiccups here and there. The car might swerve a little bit, and you might get a little bit more static, but you're always going to go back right on route.
Yep.
The next day, we started getting into it again, and he basically told me that what he heard from that interaction when I was crying was that I am not happy being married to him and want to be married to someone else who brings in more money.
See what happens when you're not direct?
So that's a very drastic jump.
It really is.
This man is not secure in his marriage.
Nope. He's not secure in who he is. Because if maybe they've had maybe they've had a conversation in the past about finances, and maybe she's told him that she wants to be a stay-at-home, and he's not able to provide that.
And he's failing in his mind.
Right. And that could very well be a thing. It really could be. Most men do want to be that breadwinner. We want to be the provider. It makes us feel like real fucking men to know that we're putting food on the table and our wife is able to raise our children. Like, that's a big fucking deal for a lot of people, whether they want to admit it or not. Because I know that a lot of these little boys around here claiming to be men want to play into what the world society expectation is. But I guarantee you, if they had the means, they would step into that role.
Right.
The problem is it's too fucking hard to get the means to step into that role, so they start making excuses and run around like little bitches and fucking... Now I'm getting aggressive.
A little bit, yeah. Are you going to cut that?
No, I'm just going to stop speaking. And check my phone because I got a picture from Jeff Graham.
Oh.
Which is a tattoo of an elephant.
I love
Holy
elephants.
Holy shit.
What?
He's a badass.
He really is.
The texture in the trunk does it for me.
You want to plug his stuff real quick?
Yeah, I mean, we can. He hit his 1,000. You guys who are fans of the show, if you're into tattoo work, Jeffrey Graham Tattoos on TikTok is one of our artists and one of my best friends. And he is a fucking monster when it comes to his art. You should go give him a follow on TikTok.
Yep, that does it for me. I love elephants. I've been listening to this gentleman. I can't remember his name, but he spent months living with a herd of elephants in Africa, just observing them. And there was a woman on site who was pregnant, but she hadn't announced it to anybody yet. And all of the mother elephants gathered around her and was putting their trunks on her stomach. They knew. That's just crazy.
Yeah, elephants are smart.
They're so intelligent. The way that they handle things and the way they communicate is just wild.
It's crazy. I have another shadow ban on TikTok.
Are you serious?
Yep. I'm at 870.9 thousand viewers, and the video that I posted this morning has only 8,000 views on it.
Let's see what I'm at.
So what does that put me at? 1%? 1% of my viewers saw the video I posted?
I'm at almost 520. The one I posted this morning is at almost 27,000.
Yeah.
The next day we started getting into it again, and he basically told me that what he heard from that interaction when I was crying was that I am not happy being married to him and wanted to be married to someone else who brings in more money. Mind you, I have told him so many times that I appreciate the hard work he does. Another pause. Telling him and showing him are two different things. You can say I appreciate you, but if your body language is passive aggressive when he forgets to do something around the house, it's two different stories.
Yep.
If there is no intimacy and you're saying I appreciate you, but you're not greeting him when he gets home from work or serving him his plate or giving him a kiss before bed, your actions are showing you don't.
Yep, that falls into that conversation that I was saying earlier about the way that you communicate. Tone, inflection, body language, actions, that all means so much more than just your words.
It does.
It's really, really fucking hard to lie with your body language.
It is.
Really easy to do it with your words.
I know the work that he does a number on him physically. All I was doing was explaining why I was crying, which I don't do often. I am exhausted. He is supposed to be my space safe. What the
My
fuck did I
space
say?
saver.
What the fuck did I just say?
You're space safe.
Space safe.
Is that where you keep your valuables on the International Space Station?
I don't know. I like that you run with it. It makes it sound less stupid. I am exhausted. He's supposed to be my safe space. Instead, he didn't hear the words, I feel like a failure. He heard, I don't want to be married to you anymore. It hurts that he took something I am struggling with and made it entirely about him. What could I have done better? So the first thing that stands out to me is stop throwing so many things at him in one go. Have a conversation about it. Say, for example, you feel like you can only give 20% of yourself to each aspect of your life. Before going on to the next point and explaining the kids, the job, the marriage, the house, just say, I feel like I am constantly exhausted and I need help brainstorming on how to fix this. And then have a conversation about it. Once that's figured out, then move on to... I wouldn't even bring up that society is expecting too much from you. This isn't society. This is your marriage. So bringing that in, too much information. He is going to lose interest in the conversation. His mind's going to start wandering. Then you're going to say something that's going to pull him back in, and he's going to hear that next point. So skipping the unnecessary information keeps him from disengaging and you feeling like you're being ignored. If you're feeling like a failure and you're looking for validation on not being a failure, you need to say, I need validation right now. I am feeling like a complete failure in every aspect of my life. What is your perception of me?
Right.
That's a different conversation than, babe, I feel like a failure.
Yeah. And I hate stay-at-home moms.
Right. You're saying there's not enough hours in the day. I can't do anything with that.
Everybody has the same hours in a day.
Right.
So your resentment towards stay-at-home moms who are able to do it just means that they have something that you don't. Whether it's a support system, extra finances,
Not having to work.
a bigger work ethic, whatever. There are women who have a full-time job that still do the mom thing and crush it.
Yeah.
Time management matters.
I was about to say, time management, that's the problem.
Right. Your sleep matters. Your extracurricular activities during your downtime matters. If you take your phone into the bathroom, every time you go to the bathroom and you get on TikTok while you're on the toilet and your 30-second pee turns into a 2-minute TikTok and you do that 15 times a day, that fucking adds up. There's a half hour of your day that's wasted because you were peeing on TikTok.
Right.
Now you figure in you're scrolling while you're on the couch. You figure in your other social media interactions. You figure, the YouTube shit you watch and all the other. You're probably wasting 2 to 3 hours a day on your phone. Look at your log time. Look at your screen time. If your screen time is more than 8 hours a week, that's a work day.
Yeah. So in that aspect of saying that there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done outside of the house and at home, what you're really saying is you feel like you have no sense of routine, or you're just going through the motions and you need to work on your time management.
Right. Or that you need help, but you're not actually saying, I need help.
Right. So in that instance, you can sit down and say, babe, I need help figuring out a schedule for myself. That way I can get in line with everything. Or I'm recognizing that I have too much on my plate and I don't have enough time in the day to do it. Can you help me?
Yep. All of that works. Every one of those scenarios are gangster.
I wouldn't have said I hate stay-at-home moms.
Yeah. It's irrelevant information.
It is irrelevant information. So my recommendation would be figure out the root of your problems, time management skills, the feeling overwhelmed and underappreciated, the feeling exhausted. Those are the problems. Not that you hate stay-at-home moms and the society expecting too much from you, and there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done. That is the powdered sugar on top of your problem croissant.
Oh, croissant.
You have anything else you'd like to add?
The last part of that where he said that he felt like she was saying that he doesn't do enough or that he can't provide and she shouldn't be married to him.
No, he said that from that conversation he basically told me that he heard from that interaction when I was crying that I am not happy being married to him and want to be married to someone who brings in more money.
Right.
And that's not just all of a sudden I feel this way. That is a prolonged.
Right. There's a lot of other conversations that led to that.
Right.
I'm going to say that the last part of that conversation where she's envious of stay-at-home moms is where he got that last little bit from. Probably right. Probably because of previous conversations. But knowing that he's not able to give her that life and she's melting down right now and crying. But the way he did that, what I was going to say is the way that he did that and made him the victim in that scenario was a problem for me. Like you are invalidating what's actually happening and turning it around on yourself to be the victims to resolve the situation. Well, now it's a me problem, so you can't be upset because I'm the failure. That is a manipulation tactic. And that's something that she needs to watch out for. You know, when you have those conversations and he says shit like that, the right way to deal with that is to go, wait a minute. That's not at all what I said. And I need you to replay the conversation back to me so I know what I said that made you feel that way. Mm. Because what you say and what they hear is not always the same thing.
Right.
And if you are being indirect and you are not giving concise information and you're beating around the bush and you're giving leeway for all of those other assumptions to take into place, you're going to have a communication breakdown.
Right.
But I also think that stems from a lot of previous conversations or his own guilt of not being able to be a breadwinner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Next one.
Sure.
New step-parent doubt in an engaged relationship.
Okay.
I'm a 23-year-old female, and I have a 27-year-old fiancé male. First, I want to say yes, I know I am young, but despite my age, I like to consider myself more mature than most in my age group.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
I'm really mature for my age. Ooh, fart. I'm not mature for my age.
I think I am more emotionally mature than a lot of people my age. I think I have a lot of my shit more together than most people my age, but I am certainly not more mature. I say stupid shit.
Verbiage matters.
What do you mean?
Verbiage matters. Emotionally more mature more mature. Yeah, that matters. Because we do say some really stupid shit. We are giant children.
Yeah. Psychologically, sometimes I revert back to 14-year-old me. Definitely. Here's a little bit of a backstory to help, since you mentioned in almost all of your podcasts that the more information, the better. So I'll try to add as much as possible. Starting off, I am a manager for a large corporation on a salary, and I am on the path to making six figures if I continue the way I am going. I consider myself very independent, and as I moved out at 18, got my own apartment, and then met my fiance shortly after.
I love everything about this email so far.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear from people who are 23 years old. Mm-hmm. You know how many times I'm like, why are you living at home at 18 years old? I don't want to hear shit from people. I can't do it. It's too hard. No, It's not. She's doing it.
That's a worker's mindset versus a moocher's mindset.
Yeah, you either have it in you to do it or you don't. And if you don't, just say that. Mm-hmm. Don't make excuses. Just be like, I'm too weak to do it.
Yeah.
And then move on. Because then I don't have to make the assumption you're telling me. I know. Go you. That chick's on top of shit. I don't know the rest of the email, but I love everything about it so far.
We have been together for 4 years. I try to be very responsible, and I am constantly looking to improve and be a better person. I have no interest in partying or social circles like my age group does.
Love that too.
Me too. It's too exhausting trying to keep up with everybody, and we're going out every Friday and Saturday night, and
Yeah, the drama that comes along with it, and
it's too much for me.
who said what, and who's fucking who, and
I mean, if you enjoy that and you thrive in that, and you do you.
Nobody thrives in that. It's chaos, and they enjoy it because they're young, and they think that that's what life is. It's not what life is.
You.
Could you imagine, like, when you think about being a young, we've talked about this, when you think about being young and what it is to party and live that life, that's not quality of life.
No.
Getting fucked up and, like, living that is not the same as, like, being 40 years old and having your own shit and going on vacations and seeing the world and really having memories. Mm-hmm. You want your memories to be going out to the same bar every fucking night or every weekend for most of a decade and getting shit-faced and possibly knocked up and, you know, the who's running through who because you guys are all fucking the same people because that's your social circle. Like, I don't know, man. That shit just does not appeal to me. It doesn't. Where's the win in that? I don't know. You know, when you see mold growing from old, like, window shaker units, where the green slime mold shit's growing down the wall from the water dripping on it constantly?
Right.
That's that life.
Yeah.
You are that green mold stuck to the side of the wall, if
Ew.
that's what you're doing in your 20s.
I want to work on my career, be successful, and live a fulfilled life, all while learning as I go.
Me too.
My fiancé is a wonderful man. He has a great job that pays significantly more than me. He enjoys his job, and we have worked and improved on our communication a lot. It is very rare that him and I are not on the same page.
Love that too.
He never raises his voice at me, even if we are in a very heated argument, which is important because of my past trauma. He has never hit me.
Pause. It's not important because of your past trauma. It's important because it's not what you do to people.
Right.
You don't talk to people like that. You don't raise your voice. You don't scream, yell. You don't call them names. Mm-hmm. You communicate with them. It sucks that you have past trauma, but him doing that has nothing to do with your past trauma.
That's just being a decent human being.
Correct. Just need to put that out there for everybody else who's listening.
He has never hit me, cheated, or given me any concern of adultery, including no interest in watching sexual videos. He is my idea of the perfect man and gentleman. He makes me feel safe, he leads, he dates me, he opens my doors, he listens and engages in conversation. He helps when I ask, and even when I don't. I said everything previously to let it be known that I don't want to leave this relationship and want to make it work.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're dating a mini me, so I couldn't imagine you'd want to leave that.
Right.
That's ego, so you guys know.
Where it started, when we first met, he made it very clear that he has a son who was 3 at the time, and that he was not looking for a hookup, but yet a serious relationship, which I completely understand. I, with some doubt because I'm young, indulged in the relationship, and we ended up clicking immediately and never went back. So you stepped into this role when you were 19.
Right, but she's also making herself into being kind of a victim right there.
Yeah.
Because of the way she worded that. Your thoughts dictate a lot. Mm-hmm. And when you write emails like this, you guys tell us a lot about your thought process by the way you word shit. Mm-hmm. So you being young and falling into this is almost not accepting the responsibility for your actions.
Right.
And with everything that you've got going on in your life, you're better than that. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Own your shit.
Right.
I made a decision that this is what was going to happen, so we went for it.
During the first 2 years of the relationship, I helped him fight for sole custody of his son due to the child's mother being an unfit parent, physical, mental, and emotional abuse. I did build a relationship with his son, and at first it was nice. There were challenges with him bouncing from one house to another, so we were dealing with emotional outbursts a lot, which is understandable. During this time, my fiancé and I got an apartment that had space for all 3 of us, and we eventually gained full custody. We have his son put into a great school with great counseling and doctors. He was diagnosed with severe ADHD, which we are treating and partnering with doctors. I have 4 years previous childcare experience and dealt with many kids that have challenges. So this factor changed nothing about how I viewed him, meaning his son.
Right.
He regularly will refer to me as mom to other people, which I don't mind and have never forced him to say. He has another nickname for me that he calls me at home. I consider myself to be a very strict parent, as I was raised that way and raised in a stable structure, and in my eyes, I believe I benefited from.
Yeah, you think? You're 23 years old. You moved out at 18. You got your own place. You're on your way to a 6-figure job. Mm-hmm. You think that having structure in a home actually made a benefit to your life? Yeah, it fucking did.
Right.
There's nothing wrong. I'm a hard ass when it comes to the kids. Mm-hmm. I expect a lot from them. And they're going to live up to those fucking expectations. And they can hate me when they're older if they want to, but they're going to be good people. And they're going to have their shit together. And by the time they're 30, they're going to have everything they want in life. And they can do all that in the comfort of their home and fucking hate me if they want to.
Right.
It is what it is. You'll respect me, though.
So with his son, we try to give him a very stable environment and structure and work every day to help him be a better kid and work through his trauma. Here's the issue. My fiance knows that I don't want to have kids for a while. My fiance knows that I don't want to have my kids of my own for a while. 5+ years at least. I want to focus on my career, buy a house, and bring a child into a stable and safe environment when I am ready.
Love everything about that, too.
Why is that an issue, though? Like, you guys have been together for 4 years. If that was something that was known at the beginning of the relationship, why would that change 4 years into the relationship?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know where that email is going, but I don't even know why that would be brought up. You know what I mean? Unless he's like, I want another kid.
Right.
But we don't know because that hasn't been stated. It could be an issue with the kid. It could be an issue with the steps or with his son, because they're not married yet. So what would you call that? His son? Just his son?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told my fiance that despite me wanting to wait, I try to accept his son as my own and treat him as my own as best as I can, and accept that if I want this amazing man, then I must and do accept his son.
Okay. Yep. So that's where that's going.
But after having him for almost 1 year now, I have noticed myself starting to distance myself, becoming more easily agitated and having less patience with his son. I notice myself viewing him as a chore and a hassle. Almost every day is a massive argument and battle. With every little thing, we are dealing with extreme disrespect, attitude, talk back, fits, etc. for a 7-year-old. To improve on this, my fiance and I have an agreement that when he is out of town for work, I am not obligated to watch him and he stays at relatives, so I do not have more than 2 scattered days off a week and don't have to deal with his son's outbursts by myself. We tried once and it did not work. I never take my frustration out on his son, as I know he is a child, and it is my job to control my emotions, so in heated moments or tantrums, I walk away and separate myself from the situation. I have noticed that I don't have a loving, close relationship with his son, despite trying for 4 years. Also, note it hasn't been all bad. We have had some good times, but 70% of the time, it's fights, arguments, tantrums, etc. I try to be understanding and patient, but I find myself disciplining and correcting more than laughing and having good times.
Sounds like Dad's not doing his job.
Yeah, it does sound like Dad is not doing his job.
It sounds like the kid doesn't respect you and that you guys have not found ways to discipline in a way that is going to instill respect in that child and proper behavior. And I know that some of the shit that I say on this podcast when it comes to raising kids is unpopular because I do believe that there are right ways and wrong ways to do shit, and I don't believe in gentle parenting all the time. Because what's going to happen is this kid's going to end up growing up and being a fucker, and it's going to end up putting him in prison. Or he's going to hurt somebody because he's not able to get his way. You have to instill that shit in children when they're little. That there's a hierarchy in the house and respect has to be had. Mm-hmm. And that if you want something, screaming and crying and kicking and being a fuckface isn't going to get it. That shit needs to be nipped in the bud the moment it starts. And if Dad was doing his job as his father, that shit would stop.
Yeah.
I'm not the dad. I'm not. Mm-hmm. But when I dad voice, the kids fucking listen to me.
Right.
They know they're safe. They know that I'm the protector. They know that like they are okay with me. Like they're always going to be safe, but they also know that I'm not fucking around.
Yeah.
And I'm not counting. I'm not fucking giving you options. If I say this is what's happening, you're going to do it. I'll explain to you why you're doing it so you understand the process and why you have to do these things. But we also know that our 5-year-old wants to be a good man. At 5 years old, he is obsessed with being a good man. It comes to the way that you talk to your children and the way you raise your children. And that kid had a fucked up life with the mother. And that's going to be a setback, and I understand that, but dad needs to be more involved. That shouldn't fall on her shoulders. It shouldn't. Disciplining the kids doesn't fall on my shoulders. That's your job. And if I'm needed, you call me. Otherwise, I don't get involved in that shit.
Yeah. You know, the kids, the whininess has died down a lot. They still do whine.
Right.
They do not throw tantrums very much anymore. The moment they start showing a negative emotion, like they're going to start crying or they want to start stomping their feet and being frustrated, everybody is stopping what we are doing and we are taking deep breaths.
Yeah.
And I make them do it. The other day when I dropped them off at their dad's house, our son started throwing a little temper tantrum on the ground because he dropped his lollipop.
Yep.
And there was hair all over the lollipop. We were going to throw it away. And he's throwing a fit over that. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. And I was like, take your deep breaths. And he tried to start talking to me. I'm like, no, I am not going to talk to you until you are able to take your deep breaths and speak to me in a way I can understand you.
Right.
Because I can't help you if I don't understand you. And he took his deep breaths and we were like, okay, what's the matter? And he was like, I want my lollipop. And I was like, I understand you want your lollipop. You dropped it on the ground. It's covered in hair, so now it has to go into the trash.
Right.
We have cupcakes. Would you like a cupcake instead? That solved it. He was like, yeah, I want a cupcake. Of course you want the cupcake.
I'd have given him his lollipop back.
It was gross.
Yeah, and I'd have given it back to him.
Yeah?
Yeah. You gonna put it in your mouth? There's a lesson to be learned there. Don't drop your lollipop or it's gonna get covered in hair. If you still want it, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hair's not gonna hurt him.
Right.
Dirt's not gonna hurt him. 80s baby. I'd bet, eat your lollipop. He'd be like, I don't want it. I'd be like, are you sure? And I stuck it right in his fucking mouth. I wouldn't have really. I would have thought about it. Because I thought about it while you were saying it. I was like, man, I'm glad I wasn't there. Because he'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, ah.
Just waiting for the opportunity.
I would have. It's no different than when somebody's yawning and you sticking your finger down the back of your throat. Like, I'm an asshole, but I wouldn't do that to him. But I would have let him have his lollipop back. He needs to learn. That would have been a great way to do it. Here you go. You want it back. It's gross. You can sit here and pick all that hair off of it if you want to do that, bro. Like,
yeah.
And then your hands are going to be sticky. And the lollipop's not going to be good by then, but do it. You can learn that lesson.
Yeah. You can pick that hair out of your mouth because we told you it was on there.
Yep.
So in regards to them, and in moments where they don't want to calm down, they just want to scream and cry and throw their fit and try to get attention. Okay. So I've tried to talk to you. We are now going to go to your bedroom. I'm going to close the door and you can sit in here and cry.
We do that.
And once you're done crying, you're ready to talk to me about it. Come and talk to me. I can give you hugs and we can cuddle and we can talk about why you're feeling this way.
Yep.
But I'm not going to try and talk to you when you're crying and you're screaming because there's no talk, there's no conversation. I can't help you. And it happens.
So let me, just for you guys that heard her say this, let me tell you, there's 3 outcomes of this that happens every time. They cry for 15, 20 minutes and come out and say they're sorry.
Yeah.
They sit in there and cry and cry and cry until they get caught into the TV show that's on TV and then they watch TV, or they lay down and fall asleep within minutes.
Yeah.
3 and 5 years old. That happens every single time.
Yeah.
Well, almost 4 and 5, so they're very close. But
Yeah.
that 4 and 5 as of Saturday. By the time this releases, they'll be 4 and 5. Wild.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. But that's one of those things that, like, cry. Go do your thing when you're because a lot of times you're just tired.
Right.
And like kids, when they don't feel well, don't know how to articulate that they don't feel well. So if they want to be grumpy, let them be grumpy. I get grumpy when I'm sick. Just leave me the fuck alone. I'll lay in bed and be miserable by myself. You got to learn that. It's self-soothing. It took a little bit for that.
Yeah.
Because you very much, we got a t-shirt order.
Ooh.
You very much want to save the day. That mom kicks in and you're like, oh, they're crying. And I'm like, let them cry,
Right. But they go into the bedroom and I've never tell them you're not allowed to cry.
No.
Like if you want to cry and you want to have your moment, go sit in your bedroom, cry it out, and then come talk to me.
Yeah.
And there's always a conversation. Why did you feel this way? How were you feeling? Can you tell me what you were feeling? And if they can't, we try to figure it out. Because frustrated used to be sad.
Right.
You're not sad, you're frustrated.
Right.
You're not frustrated, you're angry.
Yeah. They're learning their emotions. I actually don't tell them they can't cry either, but when they're done crying, because they always come out and apologize.
Yeah.
They'll always come out and be like, I'm sorry I was crying, or I'm sorry I was being whatever. But I always tell them, what did that do for you? Did crying serve you in any way? I say it to our son constantly. No. Did it make you feel better? No. Then why'd you do it? Like, how is that making you better? You didn't get what you wanted. Had you just addressed the situation instead of having a meltdown, you wouldn't have had to go to your room. You wouldn't be upset right now. We could have resolved this in this scenario with a lollipop. You really want your lollipop, bro? I'll give it back to you, but it's covered in grossness. If you're gonna eat it, you're gonna eat grossness.
Right.
And if he really wanted it, I'd give it back to him. I definitely wouldn't have offered him a cupcake.
Oh, well, there were cupcakes. He was going to get one anyway.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have done that in that scenario. I
No.
would have let him work through that process to understand that when you drop shit or you break something or you lose something that's yours, that's the consequence you have to deal with. He should have had a better grip on his lollipop. I wouldn't have got mad about it.
Right.
You know, even if he would have broke a cup, that's not something I get mad over. It's a cup. You know what I mean? I'd be more worried about you cutting yourself or hurting yourself from a shard of glass if you broke a cup than I would about the cup actually being broken. And I got to be honest, it's not like we have tile, so it's not like I have to worry about you fucking the floor up. So even if it was like red Kool-Aid and it hit the tile, I'm just going to Swiffer that up real quick. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But the fear, oh my God, I broke a cup. Oh my God, I made a mess. Not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and pick up all the glass so you're not going to cut yourself, and then you're going to go get the paper towels, and we're going to take care of this mess.
Yep.
So that they learn that there's a consequence for things. You know what I mean? Like, for every action, there's a reaction kind of scenario. But I absolutely would have given him his lollipop back.
Yeah.
And then when he was like, oh, that's gross, I'd be like, that's why I told you no.
Yeah.
But you had to have it.
I try to be understanding and patient, but I find myself disciplining and correcting more than laughing and having good times. I work a lot and I love my job, but when I know his son is home, because sometimes he spends the night at relatives, I find myself dreading going home because I feel the need to worry about his schedule and routine and make sure we are providing him with the structure that he has never had.
Pause. So dad is definitely not doing his job.
Yeah.
I would also like to say, and I'm not going to keep a real tirade on this. It's okay to not want to be a mom.
There are times I feel like I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. But in this scenario, they're not her kids.
Right.
It's okay to be like, hey, I'm overwhelmed. He's your son. I'm going to Target. I'm going to go to Hobby Lobby and kill 2 hours. I'm going to go look at every single thing on the shelf, pick it up, touch it, spin it around, put it backwards.
Yeah.
I'll be back when they close or when he goes to bed. Shoot me a text. Like, you don't have to be there. But it's also okay to realize that you don't want kids. The problem is you've decided to be engaged to someone who has kids.
Yeah.
And if you are engaged to somebody who has a child and you don't want to be a mom, don't marry him.
Yeah, you need to figure that out real quick.
Yep.
You know, being a mom is not for everybody.
Being a parent is not for everybody.
Right, it's not. And that's okay. If you don't want to have children, in this instance, she said she wants to make the relationship work. That's dope. If you're feeling this way now, say you give it another 6 months and you're not feeling any better, this is going to be your life
Yeah.
for the next 11 years. And it's going to get worse when he becomes a teenager.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A whole lot worse.
If this is something you want, you really need to sit down and figure out how to talk to his father about correcting this situation.
Yeah. Dad needs to do the dad thing.
He really needs to step it up.
Yep.
You know, as a mom, I love being a mom, but it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
A lot to always constantly think about, a lot to worry about. I have anxieties now as a mom that I've never had before. When I'm not with my children, I'm worried about someone kidnapping my children, like whole new levels of stress. And it's not for everybody.
Right.
So my fiance does everything he can to take care of his son by following his routine, discipline, structure, fun, etc. I feel terrible because I don't know how to tell my fiance I'm having these feelings because I know his son comes first and I'm okay with that. I don't want his son gone and I don't want to leave this relationship, but I also don't want to leave work and feel like I clocked in to babysit when I get home and deal with tantrums.
Right. It's because dad's not doing as much as you think he is.
Right. Even now, with our youngest being 3, she doesn't throw massive tantrums.
Nope.
Stomping her feet and screaming. I know when they come over, there's going to be a couple moments of, hey, get your shit in check. Come on. But it's not dealing constantly with screaming and arguing and throwing things, and I'm not getting my way, so I'm going to throw myself on the floor. That is definitely a lack of discipline. He is not following any discipline structure. If that is a constant day-to-day battle and you're dreading coming home because this child can do whatever he wants.
Right. I also wonder where the kid is going because she said there's other nights where he's with other family members.
Maybe grandparents.
Right. So where's the structure? Because if you have rules in your house and all of the other people have different rules, this kid has no structure.
Yeah.
Kids need that structure while their brain is developing. It's how you instill behavioral traits and learn behavioral patterns. Mm-hmm. So if the kid is going from place to place to place and all these different people are doing things, the worst of the 3 places he's going is how he's going to act at all of them because that's the one that's the most lax.
Right. This may be a normal feeling for a parent, but also parents have an unbreakable bond, which I believe has helped them work through these feelings. I am a loving person, and I want to be that loving role model to and for his son. But every time I'm around him or near him, I find my attitude always shifts or turns negative. Is this normal? Am I biting off more than I can chew, or should I seek therapy? Because part of me wonders if this is built up anger that is from my past trauma. I hope this made sense. Thank you for your time, and I hope you continue your podcast. And even though y'all have said you get a lot of negative comments, I hope you can block out the haters and let in the fans that appreciate you. And even if you feel you are not doing enough, the true fans appreciate everything you do. So I would sit down with Dad, preferably a night where the son's not home or after he goes to bed. And I would just outright say, I am really struggling right now in this role of a step-parent. I am not enjoying coming home anymore, and I'm not blaming your son. It's just there's a lot of tantrums, and I don't know how to cope with this.
Right.
And then I would figure out what the disciplinary actions are. If he does this, what are you doing? If he's going over to grandma's house, if he does this there, what is she doing?
Get everyone on the same page.
Yes, get onto the same page. And then I would have the dad sit down with the son and just have conversations about feelings.
Right.
Have the dad sit down with the son and say, son, I've noticed that you're angry a lot. Why are you angry? Am I doing something that makes you angry? Once the son is able to recognize the emotions he's feeling, the tantrums will go from throwing a fit to, Dad, I'm feeling frustrated. I feel like I'm going to start yelling.
Yeah.
We need to find out the root of the emotions, and we need to find out the disciplinary actions happening. What's your opinion?
I agree with all of that. I think the dad needs to be more involved.
Yeah.
I think that even if there is built up anger there and frustration, I feel like if you don't want to deal with those things, it's not your child.
Right.
It's his. So he should be the one dealing with those things. You shouldn't have to do that. She also said something about a parental bond. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in that. You either want to be a parent to your child or you don't, because there's men and women who just abandon their fucking kids like it's nothing. And it happens a lot. So like if that was the thing and there was actually a parental bond there, you know what I mean? Like people wouldn't be able to do that. That's not a real thing. It's people who either love their kids or they don't. And you do have an attachment to your child because they're your child. Mm-hmm. But that whole concept of it being like across the board a thing, it's not. I also think it's important to realize that it's not her kid. She's in a situation now where when they started dating and she fell for this dude, the kid wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And she rolled with the punches and helped him got this kid thinking that it was going to be a certain way, and it's not. And now they're dealing with a demon, and this kid's a fucking monster or whatever, and doing all the things that are making her life miserable. She shouldn't have to deal with that. That's not what she signed up for when she met this dude, because he didn't have the kid full time.
Yeah.
So there's also a reality shift there. Life has changed for her. And if she's goal oriented and she wants a future and she wants to be a career woman and didn't want kids until she turned 30, she's now got a kid. Like, this is a problem. So you need to talk to the dad. Dad needs to figure out his shit, and he needs to set the roles. He needs to talk, like you said, to everyone else who has the kids, so that everybody is the same across the board. And discipline needs to be instilled in a way that discipline needs to be instilled.
Right.
And if this kid is not emotionally mature enough to understand choices, that needs to be instilled too, because there needs to be a choice and a response. If you do this, this is going to happen. So you have a choice. You can act like that or this. And that's not a threat. That's not being shitty.
That's life.
You know, it's one of those things where, like, when little man is old enough to start getting homework and he doesn't want to do homework because kids hate homework. Parents and teachers understand the necessity of it. Mm-hmm. Kids don't want to do it. So when he's old enough to be like, look, I'm not going to make you do your homework. I'm not. But no, if you fail this class, you're going to have a really shitty summer with no bicycle, no Xbox, no computer, and you're going to spend a whole lot of time in your bedroom reading the encyclopedia. So don't do your homework if you want. I don't care. Just know that this is what's going to happen if you fail your class. Mm-hmm. And then when he fails his class and has to be the oldest kid, the biggest kid in his class next year, He's going to be well fucking spoken because he's going to be reading that encyclopedia.
Yep.
Believe that shit. I will get an encyclopedia off the internet, and we will start with Aardvark. And we will run through that entire thing all summer long if that's what it takes. I'm not fucking around. I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to stay on top of you. I'm not going to ride you. I'm not going to, to try to do crazy, like outlandish punishments. I'm going to let you make decisions. That's what's going to happen when you're an adult. You're going to have to make decisions. And if you can't make decisions, you're going to end up fucking living on the streets with no real future. I would rather posture you now and let you understand that everything that you do has an outcome.
I don't know if this is some people might view this as an extreme, but if the kids are older, say our son's older, 16, 17, and he's out doing things he shouldn't be doing and gets arrested, he's going to spend that time in jail. I'm not coming to bailing you out.
Absolutely.
You made that choice. This is a consequence to your action.
Yep. At 16?
Oh, yeah. If you do not want to be here again, don't do it again.
Yep.
Learn from this. I'm going to save that
Yeah.
$400 or $500.
$400 or $500 for bail?
It depends on what he does.
Yeah. If he's being charged as an adult, his bail is going to be a whole lot more than
yeah.
that. I'm telling you right now, when it comes to that shit, the first time he gets in trouble, I will absolutely be there to help and like have that talk, because the first time they get in trouble, normally nothing happens.
Yeah.
So like you want to scare that into them to let them know like this could have fucking ruined your life kind of thing. But beyond that, like,
don't play games.
yeah, you this is choice theory. This falls into that lesson of him being 7 or 8 years old, not wanting to do homework. Now he's 16 years old and doesn't want to follow the rules. He knows there's going to be an outcome.
Right. The same thing goes with addiction.
Yeah.
If one of the kids become addicted to drugs in their 20s, this is the options. I can help you get clean. We can do whatever we can do. If your choice is to go back to the drugs, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
I'm not having communication outside of that. These are the choices you are making, and I'm not going to enable it.
The addiction thing is a rough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else on that one?
No.
Can I take a pee break before we get into the next one?
That was 3 of them. You want to keep going?
Yeah, we're hour and 45 minutes in.
Okay.
So I'm going to go take a piss. You look for some more emails and then we'll continue going.
Okay. Insecurity or boundaries? So firstly, let me say I love following you guys on TikTok. I've been going through a healing journey these last 6 months, realizing my own toxic traits, how to set healthy boundaries, etc. But this one situation from my past has me stumped. And in order to heal from it, I'm trying to understand if it's me being insecure and jealous, or is it just setting that boundary, saying that this isn't okay. So I was dating someone last year. He was working 3rd shift in a convenience store gas station. So like normal, I'd talk to him before he'd get home to go to sleep while I get ready to go to work. We lived in 2 different states, so it's long distance.
Yep.
When I talked to him, he'd always talk about this one female coworker. Mind you, I've been cheated on in the past. I've dealt with situations like this where all they did was talk about the other female only to learn the truth later of the affair. Anyhow, he'd tell me I have nothing to worry about, she had a boyfriend, etc. I let it go, but I was on high alert, always of red flags. So I had just gotten paid a couple of days later, and I asked him if he needed anything since he didn't get paid till next week and I had extra money. We'd do this for each other, so it was nothing new. He told me no, that he was squared away until payday. A couple of days later, we're on FaceTime, and I noticed a new pair of sunglasses on his head after work. I didn't bring it up as I'm waiting for him to say something about them. He asked me what I thought about his new sunglasses, and I was honest and blunt about having to get used to them as they weren't exactly his normal kind of sunglasses. He proceeds to tell... This is such a strange interaction.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of strangeness there.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
It's not you.
Okay.
Like, I have, like... That's what that look was.
Yeah.
I moved this into the cherry picked.
That is...
Because there's a lot of weirdness here, and I figured this would be a conversation piece.
Okay.
But I don't know what to say. Like...
If you got a new pair of sunglasses, it'd be like, hell yeah, babe, that looks dope.
Right. I
like,
also wouldn't be like, oh, you like my new sunglasses? What are you, in 2nd grade? Like my new shoes? Got new shoes.
I would do that, though.
I wouldn't.
If I can show off something new to you that I'm actually really excited about and it looks dope on me, I'm going to show it off to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say I would show off new sunglasses, but I didn't show off new sunglasses. You just noticed my new sunglasses.
Right. There's other issues there and other thoughts
Yeah.
that I'm having, like...
That waiting to have him bring it up because you want to catch him in something is strange. Yeah. Like if I notice something new, I'd be like, oh shit, babe, that's new.
Yeah.
Okay, where'd you get that?
Right.
That waiting to have it prompted to be aggressive or attacking in a way is off-putting.
Almost like an aha.
Right. It's a form of manipulation to me.
Think so?
Yeah, like I'm waiting for you to walk into this door so I can get you.
Gotcha.
Like a tiger on the prowl. Like I see you. I'm just waiting for you to make a mistake. He proceeds to tell me his coworker that he constantly talks about bought them for him because he wanted them and didn't have the money for them. That he'd seen them a couple of days ago and tried hiding them so no one else bought them. I got very upset over the situation, learning that he had another female buy them instead of asking me for the money for them when I asked him. He then tells me I'm being jealous or insecure and he's not going to put up with it. That I'm being ridiculous. I need to process that.
Okay, well, while you process that, I want to point on a couple things. If you guys are loaning each other money and she's willing to buy it outright and he doesn't owe you, I could see why he would do that. I can also say that you guys live in two different states. You have a long distance relationship, and though you might be prevalent in his life, you are not prevalent in his life.
Correct.
You are an afterthought unless you're on the phone.
Right.
I know I get you guys feel how you feel about long distance relationships, and I feel the way I feel about it. I believe that out of sight is out of mind. Mm-hmm. If you were in a relationship with somebody and you lived together and one of you left for 6 months, your life would be very different.
Correct.
By the time you guys got back together, life would have changed. Mm-hmm. You would have changed. They would have changed. Situations would be different. Things change. In that scenario where you're in a long distance relationship.
Do you really know the person?
Right. And this motherfucker's living his life, and there is a woman with him at work as a coworker that he's spending time with. You're long distance.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why people put themselves through that shit.
I don't know either. Especially if you're a very insecure person.
Right.
If you can't handle the fact that you're not present in his life and other females are, you need to date somebody that you can see every day. Or you can have daily, not daily. If you're in the dating phase, you'll see each other once a week or whatever. But that
right.
The physical interaction will make you feel more secure in your relationship.
Yep. I think my love languages wouldn't allow me to be in a long distance thing.
Me either. I then listened for over an hour of being yelled at, screamed at, and being threatened of us breaking up over this.
Why did you listen to that for that long? Why didn't you just be like, hey, you're obviously upset. When you calm down and would like to talk to me,
right?
Call me back. And then hang the phone up.
All while I sat there crying my eyes out.
What are you really going to lose? You're long distance. How much is your life really going to change without that person in it?
Right.
You don't live together. You don't live in the same town. You don't live in the same zip code. Mm-hmm. You live in another state.
Yeah.
How much is your life really going to change? You can find another internet buddy.
I'm not saying he's correct in reacting the way he's reacting with the yelling and the screaming and the berating and the threatening. That is not how you handle the situation. I can understand his frustration if this is a regular, reoccurring thing, especially if it's daily.
Yeah.
If you're so insecure to the point that you want to not notice new sunglasses because you're waiting for him to trip up to tell you why he has new sunglasses so you can start this exchange, that's too much for me.
Right.
I don't think this person should be in a relationship.
No, I agree. I also think about the fact that he was excited about those glasses and wanted to show them off, and it turned into a problem.
Right.
So he went from something that he was excited about to getting shit on.
And if it was something foul, he would have hid the sunglasses.
Yeah, probably. Or if he thought he was doing something wrong.
Right. He would have hid them.
Right. Or maybe he just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know who this person is. Mm-hmm. But I do know that when you're excited about something, you try to show it off and somebody shits on it, you're making a request for connection, and now it's a fucking problem.
Right.
It's a problem. So that could be what led into the tirade. You know what I mean? Like, but again, we also don't, like you said, we don't know the background. How often is this happening?
At the business, we have female workers. If the manager bought something for you that you mentioned in passing, I would not be upset over that.
Yeah.
That is I care about you. You said you wanted this, I got it for you.
Right.
Gift giving.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hell yeah, that was dope of her. I love that you got that. Fantastic.
I agree with that.
Right.
Also, there's sunglasses at a gas station.
Right. It's not like it was a $300 pair of Jordans.
Right, or even a $200 pair of Oakleys.
Yeah.
They're gas station sunglasses. They're not expensive.
It could be that she sees that he's having it rough with money right now and she just wanted to help out a little bit so he can have something he wanted outside of his living expenses.
Right.
Sometimes there's just nice people out there. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. If I hear that somebody's having a hard time and they can't afford to buy a $10 whatever, I'm going to buy them the $10 whatever.
I've bought people cars.
Right.
No sexual intimacy, no interest there, no nothing.
Just, I hear you're struggling.
Here you go.
I got you.
Yep, I have it right now and you don't. One day I'm not going to have it and hopefully somebody's going to come through for me.
Yeah. It's all perception.
Yep.
Why would you sit there for over an hour crying your eyes out as someone is berating you on the cell phone?
Yep.
Where's the self-worth in that?
Yep. I also don't understand the insecurity thing and the jealousy thing. If you're with somebody that makes you feel that way, they're obviously not, it's not right for you. I said this in another episode that I just edited yesterday or today.
It all blurs together.
It really does. It's one long fucking edit session.
Yeah.
But I don't have insecurities because I trust you. If I had insecurities in our relationship, the bottom line of that would be that I don't trust you. Whether it's something you did or my own insecurities, my lack of trust in who you are is the fucking problem. Mm-hmm. Not what you're doing, not what someone else is doing, not the scenarios. The bottom line is my lack of trust for whatever the reason is. That's what needs to be resolved.
Yep.
Because nobody else can make you feel shit. Mm-hmm. You make that decision to feel that way. And it is a choice.
Right. He then states, how is so-and-so buying me these sunglasses any different than your boss giving you a gift card for a restaurant?
I mean, it's not really.
No, I don't really view that as a difference.
A gift is a gift.
Right. So let me explain that part of the situation. I work with an individual that had an intellectual disability. He was very verbally abusive to me daily. It's very difficult for him to keep staff, but I was already there for 9 months. As a thank you for not giving up and quitting, he gave me 2 gift cards for some expensive fancy restaurant near my house. He stated, here, take these and go out to dinner with your other half on me. You have been an awesome employee, and I wish I had more like you. Plus, with your better half going back home and go spend quality time together. So my boyfriend at the time threw that in my face, saying it's the same situation. In my eyes, it's not, as my boss was trying to treat him and I out to dinner.
No, the difference is it's you, and you know the situation intimately.
Right.
And it's him, and he knows the situation intimately. The problem is that neither one of you know the situation intimately on both of those.
Right. I'm going to read this next sentence and then give my opinion.
Okay.
Where his coworker bought him something he wore every day, even knowing it bothered me. So is that being insecure and jealous, or setting that boundary saying it's not okay?
I'm willing to bet they're young.
You are very insecure. Very insecure person. I would, if someone bought you a $200 pair of Oakleys as a gift. I mean, I know you as a person. Even if it came from a woman, I wouldn't be upset about it.
Right, because you trust me.
Right. And that saves us $200. I don't see a difference in those scenarios. If anything, I would say a male boss giving an employee 2 very expensive gift cards to a fancy restaurant, that I would be more inclined to be like, okay, someone just doesn't give someone $300 in gift cards to a restaurant.
I bought my manager a $20,000 car.
Right, but in that insecure mindset.
Yeah.
A $300 gift card versus $10 sunglasses from a gas station, the more increased monetary value, that would bother me as an insecure person in that mindset. Because I have been that person in that insecure mindset.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I do think that is an overreaction. If any man you are with is going to have interactions with women.
Yep.
You cannot segregate him from the female population just because you're in a relationship. And if you can't handle the fact that he could have a coworker buy him Taco Bell for lunch because he doesn't have money, or get him a $10 pair of sunglasses, that's just strange to me.
Yeah. Yep. People are gonna. I don't know. I also don't get that. There's gonna be there's people out there who just do for people. If I've got it and we're close, you've got it.
Right.
I'm not gonna ever eat in front of somebody. We're gonna eat together. You know what I mean? Like it's just the way that it is. That's the type of person I am. That person could be the same way. Dude could be fucking this chick. There's a whole lot of unknowns in this, and that's where her problem comes in. But the real issue in all of this is that you guys don't trust each other.
Right.
And you live in different states. Your life is not relevant to him when he's out doing his thing. You are the last thing on his fucking mind.
Right.
Until you're on the phone. I understand that people do the long-term relationships and it can work
Long
for
distance.
some, whatever, long distance. Yes. I don't believe in that. I just don't.
Yeah, I've never had a long distance relationship work out.
There's people in Discord who 13, 14 years with somebody that was in a long distance relationship and built their foundation that way. And that's fucking dope.
I think that is a good way to build the foundation, having those conversations.
Yeah.
But if that trust is not there, it will never work.
Yeah, but I think that long distance shit needs to be looked at as a friendship.
Yeah.
And not as a relationship. And even if they're not doing other people or going on dates or whatever the case may be, when you're long distance like that, you can't. I just don't believe in that. I don't. I don't believe that it's a real relationship. Other people may view it differently. I just don't see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The thing that makes a friendship different from a intimate relationship is the touching.
And the intimacy.
And yeah.
Yep. And without that, you have a friendship. You have a long distance friendship that you can say, I love you too.
She said, "This is the one part of my healing journey that has me stumped. So if it's me being jealous and insecure, I want to be able to dive deeper into it and fix my behavior so I don't make the same mistake again later in life."
It could be that you're insecure, or it could be that something's going on there and your subconscious is telling you that this isn't right.
If there are other things happening that led up to this feeling, I would want to know those things.
It was him talking about her all the time.
I mean, are they the only two people that work at that gas station at night?
Could be one of his only friends. And if that's
Yeah.
somebody that the only person that's really relevant in his life, when she asks how your life is going, it would be normal to talk about it.
Right.
It's just,
There's too much guesswork in long distance.
Yep.
Too much. My first recommendation is you're not somebody I would recommend trying to attempt a long distance relationship. You sound like the kind of person who needs
assurance.
assurance and that daily physical interaction. Phone calls are not going to suffice the need that she has. Does that make sense? And if you want a dude like Chris over there who doesn't really interact with females and sees no need to interact with females, especially single ones, then you need to find that man. I would also look into just YouTube. There are a lot of psychologists out there who talk about healing insecurity and how to become satisfied with yourself and understanding your self-worth and not like a healthy boundary and an overreaction. I would YouTube things.
Do you think it's insecurity or do you think it's lack of trust? Because it's not the same thing. You feeling not worthy and being insecure in your relationship and insecure in who you are, because you can't say you're insecure in your relationship. You saying that is a sugar-coated way of saying you don't trust your person.
Mm-hmm.
That's the root. I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm insecure in us. I don't believe you. I don't believe that this is real. I think you're lying. I think you're getting your willy wet and you won't admit it, and therefore I'm harboring a whole bunch of other shit in my head.
There's too much guesswork in the long distance.
Yep.
Because she doesn't know his habits. You don't know what he does when he gets home. He could, if you ask and he upstates you, he's going to give you a little blurb, but you really don't know. You don't know what time he's going to bed. He might text you goodnight, but he could be up until 3 o'clock in the morning digging around on his phone or doing something,
Right.
you know?
Or say he's going to bed so he can play video games for 6 hours.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nope. Want to do one more and call it a day? Or
No.
one more and call it a recording? You want to take a break? We stop and then do another one later? Because it's Saturday. We could do one more to get, we're moving into the next week.
I would rather do like a side piece or something.
That's fine. That's just another recording. I mean, like I said, we got, because this is the 19th, episode 20.
Right.
So 2 Mondays from now, if we get that side piece done and one more sideshow done for the week, we'll be 2 full weeks ahead.
That'd be dope.
All right, then let's call it.
Okay.
Reset everything, transfer some shit, and then
I do want to like sit down for like 20 minutes.
I want to try my new card reader.
Perfect.
See you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that, found it entertaining, funny, or even learned something you didn't know before, share it. And if you're not subscribed, why aren't you? And for those of you who want to support us, get access to exclusive content and live streams, we do have a Patreon. All the links are in the description.